Hello and welcome to K-Stop. There's that classic intro that I loved hearing every week.
Very smooth.
Very smooth. Hello everybody. This is Jeff Benjamin. And welcome to K-Stop. And as always, I am joined by the Lee Hyori to my Lee Sang Soon. Tina Sue.
Hyori.
Yes, of course.
Oh my gosh, she's bad bitch. Bad bitch.
She is a bad bitch.
Yes.
But yeah. Speaking of bad, Few's going through some moving right now, some editing, technical difficulties, things like that. So we decided, why bother people, and we'll make our own intro.
Music.
We'll make our own kind of music this week. So we hope we apologize if this episode is coming a little delayed, if anything. Where Few's is, if you didn't know, we're moving. We're going to this big, beautiful office. Things are going to be awesome. But of course, moving is always stressful for lots of people.
Right, and our editing stations are being packed up,
yes,
so our resources are pretty limited at the moment. But of course, that shouldn't delay our much needed commentary, obviously.
Of course.
So, we have some great releases this week. We're also coming back from, obviously, a long weekend from the 4th. Happy 4th to those who celebrate it. And hopefully everyone had a great break.
Yes. So thank you guys. We hope everyone had a good holiday if you celebrate. And, everyone's feeling refreshed, good, and we're ready to go. Last week, I don't know. This is like you guys had a lot of comments last week. Last week we talked about Mamamoo, Boa, someone else, and I can't remember because the photo wasn't Blackpink. Blackpink. And we talked about our favorite songs of the year so far. And you guys had a lot of awesome comments about just like sharing like your favorite songs. I feel like I can't get through all of them. Actually, you guys know who you are if you left the comments. We see it on like K-Stop, hashtag K-Stop on Twitter. I'm just going to go through just a couple of ones that I saw. Wonder Girls Draw Me. Dean's The Unknown Guest, NCT's Back to You.
Wait,
great
what
songs.
is The Unknown Guest?
I am not sure.
I feel like we're both pretty up to date with Dean's releases.
Yeah, what the heck?
What
oh my gosh,
that?
Is this a new one that we don't know?
I only remember Come Over, the one with Baekhyun.
Right.
That was pretty dope. And then obviously he did one with Sid, but
yeah, was that the other song on the EP other than the
Oh, maybe.
Remember? I think that might have been it.
Maybe. Oh, that one was. I thought that was like mostly instrumental.
I can't remember. We need to check this out
sense.
clearly. It might be though. But some other ones that got called out: Sohyun's "Don't Say No," Chanyeol and Punch's "Stay With Me," love that one. Red Velvet's "Body Talk," love that B-side. NCT 127 "Limitless," love that one too. Kim Lip "Eclipse" from Luna.
A lot of people actually like that song. It's pretty good.
I think
it didn't blow me away, but it got a really good response.
I need to listen to that. I'm not sure if I did. CLC's "Hobgoblin," "Girl Stays Thirsty," Gugudan's "A Girl Like Me."
God. You got into like the ratchet songs all in one.
We got more for Kim Lip for "Eclipse," Seo in Gux, "Better Together," and Mint Chocolate, Zion T's whole OO album.
Oh, right.
NCT again. Boa, BAP's Rose EP, Dystopia, Wake Me Up, great songs on that. Yeah, a really good handful of songs. Yeah, thank you guys. So I'll just real quick. Yeah, shout out to Daniel Van Woeren, shout out to Vancity K-pop, shout out to Kelly Hobie Please, who's at Hobie Please. Shout out to What Will Said. Shout out to. I think that's all we got there. Yeah. So thank you guys for the comments. Yes.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to, of course, get those all. So thank you guys. Yeah. There are some clearly that we need to check out ourselves. So thank you so much. Other than that, we of course ask you guys every week to vote on your favorite releases of the week. And like we said, we talked about Blackpink, Boa, and Mamamoo last week. And whoa, I am shocked at these results.
Did Mamamoo win?
No, Mamamoo only got 1% of the votes with Yes I Am.
Okay.
Boa slayed the competition with 95% of the votes. And then Blackpink came in second with 5% of the votes. So
wow.
I know. I would have thought
Yo, I did not see that coming.
No, I did not. I didn't either.
Boa.
So great. Congrats to
The
Boa.
more I listen to that track, the more I love it.
Like
even without the visuals.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I do like it. I do. But we have more queens to talk about.
Queens.
More
yes.
exciting acts to talk about this week. So I just say we get right into it. So Tina, who's first on our list?
Let's get into a fellow queen. It's funny because Boa and Hyori, they were like big roughly around the same time. Obviously Boa was out. She debuted earlier, so she has a much deeper catalog, but
debuted solo earlier.
Yeah.
Hyori
and Hyori, I mean, she is a few years older than Boa, but they're both, extremely successful, extremely beautiful, very much beloved in K-pop. So Hyori is back after 4 years, I think, with her latest release.
I think that last one was
Was it like Monochrome?
Monochrome. It had Miss Korea.
Yeah.
And
then she kind of fell off the face of the earth for a while because she moved to Jeju Island. She got married and there a lot of stuff happening in her life. But she's back she had a pre-release called Soul.
Yes.
Wasn't a huge fan of that. It was a very different sound for her.
No, it was not.
But I guess we'll talk more about Black.
Yeah.
That she released a couple days ago. And so this album, I heard she wrote and produced a large part of it, which I was a little bit surprised because I always thought of her as someone who just basically performed music. She didn't always seem to be the most involved, on the back end of things, which maybe in the past few years, I'm sure that's changed. Just early in her career, I just never really thought of her as kind of a all hands on deck kind of artist.
For sure, yeah.
So I was really, really impressed. And the sound is it's really different for her. I'm so used to kind of like the You Go Girl, like that Talk or whatever song.
A lot of people
TikTok,
say that,
whatever. This one's kind of like folk, indie, R&B mixed together.
Yeah. It has those kind of exotic elements in it. I was reading about the press release, or I was reading her press conference for it, and she said, she's done a lot of yoga recently, and there's Indian influences in the songs, that she's working on these days. So, yeah, it's definitely unexpected, right? Because I was expecting, she's coming up 4th of July, July 4th. She's literally coming with a huge summer song, I bet. And it's like
a banger.
Yeah, and it was certainly not to say that the song isn't a banger or isn't good in that way, but it's just not. It's
definitely a different aesthetic for her.
Yes, for sure.
She's known as, capitalizing on her looks, right? And the fact that she's super sexy and she knows that, and she works that to her advantage. So for this release, the whole thing is just a little darker and a lot more cinematic, I think. You can tell she's matured and that she's in a different place in her life.
Right.
The video gave me serious kind of Kill Bill vibes. She wasn't looking pristine and shiny the whole time. She was, she was much more low key. The most done up she looked was probably at the end where she was kind of powdering her nose.
Yeah.
And she kind of had a more glowy look to her. But yeah, she was in the desert, seemingly kind of, I don't really know what the storyline was. I feel like I was watching more of a mini film, if anything, and I don't really know exactly what the message was of this.
Yeah, well, I think, at the first it's this idea that it seems like water, the world is short on water or something like that, and she's in the middle of the desert, or maybe, whatever it is. And then, I don't know, then she meets this dog and she's kind of playing with the dog a bit, and then I don't know, in the end she also I was kind of confused, where the storyline was going, what was happening exactly. But in the end, I thought it was almost her, just being, fuck it or whatever, because, sorry for the explicit, but, because she's in this, huge pool tub with like the dog and everything, and like clearly it takes a lot of water to like fill up a bathtub, you know. So like I thought it was her just kind of being like, let the meat cake, Marie Antoinette, almost like a total different take on like this sort of luxurious and hedonistic sort of vibe or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think there was a huge deep storyline.
Right.
Except just like
I didn't even really understand the lyrics that much.
Yeah, like it's about her like being black or whatever. It just seems like she's just going
darker. Like
like
hair is all black, eyes are black.
Right.
It's just she's never struck me as someone who was a layered artist. And like it was very much what you see is what you get with Hyori. So for her to go much more kind of cinematic and layered and just a lot deeper is a whole new concept for me, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around.
Right, and it kind of might be for her too, like this might have been, because I think lots of times, we kind of see it, you see something like, I don't know, like maybe even like a good example of this. It's not perfect, but like kind of a good kind of example might be like Lady Gaga's Joanne album, where like an artist is kind of like, this is really where I'm going, and like I really want to like do this, and like this is the real me. This is the real me, and then it just kind of gets a little muddied, and like because celebrities kind of they live in their own world a little bit, and she might have really
trying to reinvent herself.
Yeah, and it kind of could just be the results of whether that's maybe she needed a different producers, maybe she needed, more feedback and things like that. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's interesting. Like
it is intriguing.
It's intriguing. And like, even like that, how after the first chorus, there's sort of like that little breakdown air, like, and I was like, is this kind of dubstep inspired or kind of like dance? It didn't sound so clean and like, sort of, so clean and like, seamless as like most I feel like K-pop songs would have incorporated that sort of like breakdown and stuff like that.
Right.
So I don't know exactly, and maybe it was kind of like her first foray into being like, oh, more me, more and this kind of thing. Because I know she wrote some songs on the last album, but and I think from what I can tell, it seems like she had more personal involvement this time.
For sure. And I've always appreciated kind of that gritty, husky tone to her voice. She actually sounded a little bit like Gummy when the song first opened, because she does have a huskier voice. So and I think that really fit the aesthetic she was going for.
Right.
So that I really appreciated. I wasn't a huge fan. We talked about this a little bit. I didn't really like Soul. I thought that was even more weird sound for her.
Yeah, I didn't love that one.
It wasn't like. There wasn't much of a melody to it for me.
Yeah, it was very unforgettable, or very forgettable.
Very forgettable, yeah.
Very unforgettable. Yeah, I've listened to a couple other songs on the album. I haven't gotten so deep into it, but like, there's a lot of interesting ideas. Like, there's a song called Black Snake, I think it is, or Snake or something, and it's like got those like Indian influences again. I can definitely hear the like South, East Asian sort of sound she's going for, but like, again, it just didn't feel as polished as like a lot of other music. Oh, it's called White Snake. Sorry, not Black Snake. Unknown Track is like a cute song. It's like, it's about someone being there about like this guy or whatever being her unknown track. Like,
So are there any kind of stereotypical pop tracks on there, like dance pop tracks?
Maybe like White Snake is the closest thing. Like Diamond, everyone seems to really like Diamond, I saw from the comments, but it's like more of like a ballad duet sort of thing with Lee Juk on that one. So I don't know. I mean, she's really not giving that, like kind of coming for the things that we kind of knew her for, and always knew from her. So
I suddenly thought of when you said ballad, I suddenly remember she did a ballad with Taesung from Big Bang years ago, and I loved it because
for his album or her album?
I can't remember. It's been so long. Let me Google this because it's gonna bother me. And I remember loving it and being really impressed because it's called How Did We Get?
Okay.
And what is this? Oh, it's on H Logic. Yeah, H Logic was the last Hyori album that I really kind of listened to, and that was from 2010.
Yeah, well, and then she took the 4-year break or whatever, and then came back with Monochrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Monochrome was kind of like, you know, I remember there were a lot of jazz influences. It was almost like, yeah, it was a little more going back to like traditional sounds, like the retro feel. And then this is now, I mean, I'm, you know, she actually, in that same press conference that I was reading about, she gave, you know, she was kind of like, they asked this question like, oh, who do you think is the next Hyori or whatever?
That's right, yeah.
And I thought she gave an interesting answer. Well, first off, she's like, well, I don't really like answering this because that makes it sound like I'm the old and like that there needs to be someone to replace me.
Right.
But she did answer it in the end. And she said, IU, I think, is kind of like another me in the sense like she tries a lot of different music styles and she like shows who she is with her music too.
I thought that was such a strange pick.
Strange, but I kind of get it. Or
I think she's giving herself too much credit.
She might be.
I'm sorry. IU is an incredible singer. And she definitely has her own niche. I think that's what she's trying to say. But I'm like, Hyori, you never really carved out a niche like that where you own like one particular thing. She was just kind of like, I always thought Hyori like it is what it is, right? Like she kind of like, she looks good. She's a
great performer.
She has great stage presence, but when it came down to like owning one particular aspect of anything, she was very mediocre. Like she wasn't like a singer. She wasn't an amazing dancer. I mean, she looks good doing things. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, she's an entertainer. You know, it's like it's kind of like that. Like, you know, Madonna's not known for having an incredible voice, or Britney Spears not known. You know, but they were known as being great entertainers, and that like totally obviously works and like works for a while, rather than being one thing. Like, you know, how Whitney Houston or Christina Aguilera are known for their voices or dance or whatnot. You know, like she kind of is she's just this entertainer package.
I still think the IU thing was whack.
I think
I totally disagree with that.
I think I know what she was going for, but I don't know if I totally agree with it. But I know she's trying to be like, oh yeah, multiple like all these different genres and styles. Like that's me.
But IU doesn't even fuck with that many different genres.
She does if you listen to her album,
that
beat track. You know, but that's the thing is that like what she puts out to the public is very.
IU will only like extend her. She'll never like change it up that much. You know, like she'll still have that signature IU sound to her. She has that signature sound.
Yeah. No, exactly. I do hope one day we get like a club anthem from IU.
An IU
club
hip hop collaboration.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Let's do it. I mean, G-Dragon was on her song. But yes, anyway, so Hyori is back. She's gonna promote for like a week and then I guess go back to like her little island. She talked about how she like lives on like Jeju Island and then like she like farms there. I was like, good for you, girl. And then I'm sure she made enough money. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. If you have any Hyori memories too, I'd be curious of what you guys remember about her. Moving right along.
Let's switch to a group.
Woohoo!
Of course, none other than BTS.
BTS.
Who,
behind the scene or beyond the scenes. No longer Bangtan boys. No longer.
Is that an actual thing?
No longer bulletproof Boy Scouts. They are.
Is that an actual thing?
I know it. Like the Korean translation is like Bangyang Son.
Wait, so they actually changed it to Beyond the Scenes?
That's what I heard. That's what
I thought that was just like a joke.
I thought it was just for this era too, but then literally some person who, it's my friend Alana Kaplan, who's like a writer. She's like, "Did you see the BTS news?" I'm like, "That they put out a new song?" She's like, "No, about their name change." And I was like, "Really? You guys think this is?" I was like, "Maybe it's something bigger than I realized."
Excuse me, I didn't know it was official.
Me neither. But
well,
anyway,
regardless,
here they are.
So they shook things up with a remake of Sotaeji's Come Back Home, which was released in the mid-90s, and it's a very classic track. So in preparation for Sotaeji's 25th anniversary of Sotaeji and Boy's debut, which is coming up, I believe, September of this year. So they debuted in 92. So 25 years, that is very, very long time.
Yeah.
And
to still have so much influence.
Exactly. And they're like cultural icons.
Yeah. A lot of people say they're kind of like what started K-pop as we know it today.
Right,
they were
right.
very into genre mashing, very into concepts and things like that.
Yeah. And for those who are not aware, YG, the CEO of obviously YG Entertainment, he was a member of Sotaeji.
Isn't that so crazy? Like, I think
so when you watch
crazy.
like old clips, you're like, what?
I know, it's so crazy to think about.
Like, it's so hard to take him seriously because obviously the fashion was different, the hairstyles were wild.
Yeah.
It's like, so this is like even before One Time and all of that. You know, like they paved the way for acts like One Time.
They really did, and
you know things like that.
Right, and of course, you know, when something does well, it gets manufactured, and big companies think about how can they, monetize it all. So then that kind of created the world of K-pop that we know today. And, but Sotaeji, he still is releasing music. I think his last album maybe came out 2 years ago. I loved the album. It was gorgeous and fascinating. He had that really good song with IU, if you remember it. I think it was called Sokyedong. It's an area. But yeah, I mean, he's stayed with music. Jung, what happened to him? Do we know what happened to the third member?
Oh, I do not.
I don't either. But Mr. YG became Mr. YG, and yeah, here we are now, 25 years later. And they're doing this kind of, I think Sotaeji is the one leading, or Sotaeji himself is the one kind of leading the project and asking different artists to recreate big songs from their discography. And it's a very small, I think Gummy might be on it. And I think, and I don't think a lot of artists are on it, but like he asked, he's working with these groups and these acts to
kind of
recreate these songs.
To bring a bit of modern edge and flair to these, very old songs.
Right. And and if we want to get right into it, I thought it was I really, I knew the original whatever, and it definitely had that like bebop hip hop sound, like that was very big in the 90s. And I was really happy to hear, for the most part, that sound
they preserved it
is kept intact 100%. Yeah. But they they update it with like the trap beats and some more synthesizers and things like that, and the way they do their vocals and stuff like that. But
I love that it was so BTS while at the same time clearly paying homage to Sotaeji, and you could still very clearly hear the song. I thought it was very well balanced.
Yeah, I really was quite impressed by it because I didn't really know what to expect. I heard about that this was coming, but it could have, if they went just straight with it, it could have been, it could have been a little cringy, because a lot of these things haven't aged that well, and it's a great song, but a lot of those elements and those sounds haven't aged so well,
Right.
And
definitely. When you hear that old one, you're like, wow, this is truly the 90s.
Right. I was quick little promo moments. If you guys are into podcasts, which hopefully you are if you're listening to this, I was a guest on the New York Times Pop podcast this last week, and we talked all about K-pop and K-Con, and we started talking about Sotaeji actually, and we played the first single, We Know, and I was kind of here it is, it's going to sound really don't expect something hot, and it's and it's so even though I was listening to it again, I was like, this does have so many different styles to it and everything. It was really interesting to hear, but at the same time, I'm a regular person would be like, what the hell? It was definitely at this time where, this music scene was figuring itself out and being flipped on its head and 100%. So, but yeah, it was kind of I was a little nervous to hear what Come Back Home was going to sound like in 2017, but I was so pleasantly surprised.
Right, because the original is, as influential and powerful as it was, it did have that kind of mellowness to it that was amped up on the remake. The remake was just super aggressive, and you wouldn't expect anything less from an up-tempo track from BTS. All of their previous, Dope, they just have this incredible energy packed within those songs.
Exactly. And you know what I and of course, yeah, they have that energy. They had some really fun. They rewrote the lyrics. I think I was reading Rap Monster and J-Hope rewrote it, and there's like a lot of modern references. There's like a Dre like started from the bottom, now we're here.
Oh yeah, I love that. But like we keep getting higher. Or something.
Yeah. He's like. There's something like, yes, I'm hungry. Yes, I'm hangry.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, this is very
right,
2017.
Because I'm like, production, you can only like, change it up so much. So it really lies in the lyrics 100%. On how you modernize it.
And I was doing a little bit back research, actually, and I actually heard that back in the day, that song was a little controversial for the lyrics, being like, kind of disregarding society and talking about,
rules,
things like that.
The conventional.
Yeah.
Aspects and like because
so
I think just talking about kind of either domestic situations or mental health and just being happy. I think topics like that are just not often discussed in Asian societies, especially Korea. So, and if you want to get into the video, you can see that there's a lot of angst. There's a lot of feelings of being trapped and not knowing how to deal with them. And they really, they took elements of the old video and just recreated them. Yeah. Essentially. And very relatable. There's the student, there's the runner, there's the, businessman, like things that, anyone can relate to, which is why, I think the song resonated so well back in the day too. Girl, I was a little taken aback by her role because just not only was the setting very different. I don't know like what aspect of
I couldn't tell
or what role she was representing.
Was that in was someone like her in the original video?
I don't remember seeing that.
I don't think so either. I mean, on one hand I thought, okay, it's just like sexy moments, or whatever, but like maybe, she's
definitely like
going through something. Like maybe she's like in a
strippers alternate universe,
or well, no, maybe like she's in like some futuristic stripper or like something, or like like maybe in some type of sex work or something like that. This is very much like I'm very much speculating. Not saying that she looked like it or anything like that. But yeah, like maybe something like well, also the space she was in was very tiny too. Right, it was very enclosed. I was thinking like maybe that was her trying to make the most of her space, despite it being very small, and still wanting to dance, still wanting to move, despite.
Right. So the original one, I just remembered the woods. So the woods had to be incorporated. And then, the street fighting. Yeah. So it was very much just like on the streets. Yeah. So, of course, this new release added in some additional elements. Yeah. I really like the actor. I couldn't find his name when I tried to do a quick search, but I like the runner.
Oh, the runner, yeah. He was intense.
He was really, really intense.
I liked him. Yeah.
I liked the really quick the dancer who was like doing some tutting. Yeah. I thought the pace of the video was really, really good. It like kept me on the edge of my seat.
Really?
Yeah, there were just so many cool moments.
I thought I was a little disappointed, I guess, when BTS wasn't in the video. Granted they've been so.
Oh my God, it's funny. Okay, just to this like goes back to my point about how like despite BTS not being in it, like I didn't even like make that connection that they weren't in it because there was so much other stuff happening.
Okay, I see what you did there. Because
normally I wouldn't like a video that doesn't have the artist in it
either. And yet here you are. You're like standing for
gushing.
it. No, I love that. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that like when a video doesn't have the artist or whatever, it needs to be done well,
Yeah.
And like so, I did. I don't think Taiji. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So Taiji. Sorry, I said that the other weekend.
I think that just kind of serves as a testament to how important the message is. So rather than focusing on the artists, they really focus on the content and the story behind the song.
No, totally.
Which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was any other moment that really stood out.
A musical moment that I really, really liked actually was, and I was surprised when I learned that this was Jin's voice, is that first opening moments, it has kind of like the I think it's like a pan flute sort of thing, but then it's got those, it's very, I didn't hear it on my first couple listens, but he's got those falsettos, singing like that.
I think like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like it was so it's like these like haunting like harmony like falsetto, and I was just like, and I was expecting it was Jamin or Jungkook or something like that, but no, it was Jin, and I was like, Jin coming through with these vocals. I was like, I had no idea, and you know, and it's something. It was one of my favorite parts of the original song too, and then to hear that done once again, and I saw actually like him getting some. Positive feedback about that too, so I don't know, it's just once again like it's my favorite part of the song, like that I just I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen. Yeah, it's subtle. I didn't even hear it the first couple times, but ultimately, you know, it's cool to get this song right before I guess they're gonna be releasing an album soon, they say, right, so that's why they did a new logo and everything too.
Yeah, so was the logo that kind of eclipse thing at the end? Where like he was on the roof.
That was. I think that's Seotaji or Seotaji's.
Was that just referencing something else? Oh, that's what I mean, like his logo.
Yeah, I think that's a logo for the 25 anniversary sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was very impressed. You know, it's doing quite. You know, even though I was not expecting this, I think it's like top 50 on US iTunes right now. Like people are like here for BTS and whatever capacity it is, and they impressed me. I was not sure what to expect with this one. But
like that's huge. Like that's such an honor to even be like included on such a project.
Oh, and you know, the fact that I meant to add this onto your point earlier. You know, the song is about society and those original feelings and going against society, and that's kind of is what BTS has done. Right. And it makes total when you think about it a little further, you're like, oh, it makes sense that they were asked to do this. So I was like, very cool, very cool.
Yeah. Still on brand.
Very on brand. Yeah, exactly. Like if they had come out maybe with a different song, it maybe wouldn't have worked as well. But I think the message and the overall concept is still BTS, despite it being someone else's song.
Yeah, it wasn't a hard sell by any means. This makes sense.
Great job to everyone involved.
I'm very impressed. I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is their year.
25th anniversary thing.
I know. Oh yeah, and I'm excited for Seotaji. Oh my gosh, I need to stop saying it. I've said it so many times. Seotaji. Terrible. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, for what more is to come. I hope we get lots of like interesting collaborations and songs too.
Yeah.
Moving
on.
Right along.
Another queen. Another female queen.
Yes.
Our girl Heize is back.
Yeah.
We love Heize. Always have great things to say about her. Although Star was a little weird.
Right.
I think we were mixed on that one.
We were.
But so she's back with a couple new tracks, and we particularly loved well, I don't want to speak for all of us, but
no, you're right.
Don't Know You. And this is produced by Groovy Room, who is the same producer of the other song we loved, Hyorin and Chanmo's Blue Moon.
Yeah. Oh, so he's that baby noise sound that comes at the beginning.
It's a duo.
Or they are.
Groovy. Like,
that's what they're saying. Groovy.
Groovy, yeah. And they also produce, I think we talked about this in a previous episode when we talked about Minji's release. And I like the J Park collaboration she had called Flashlight. That was also produced by Groovy Room. So they kind of have like a kind of a particular sound, kind of, mellow, bouncy.
Yeah.
And you can definitely hear it on this one.
Yes.
And so Jeff was like, oh my God, the new Heize song is so good. Kick it off. What do you... Yeah.
I was just like, so, I really like Heize. I was so excited. She just got announced for KCON Los Angeles too.
Oh,
so I'm like, yes.
Jealous.
So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I don't know, just like from the beginning, right away, I love her voice. I love, the kind of melancholy she can bring with her singing, rapping. But like, I don't know, that chorus, it just like blew my mind. I just think there's so much emotion packed into that chorus. And, she's like saying like, I didn't know you. I didn't know your heart and like all these things. It's just like, I just felt like the heartbreak. And like, even without really knowing what the lyrics were about, first and foremost, I just kind of got this overall sense of sadness.
Sense of like longing.
Yeah. Right? And it just like drew me in 100%. And, I just thought it's such a well done song that like right away I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, I'm obsessed with this. And I can't wait to get into the EP and all these things.
Right. It's crazy how the song itself is like kind of a bop.
Yeah.
But the lyrics are
despite
definitely
being
very
so sad.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of like contradiction of like that juxtaposition, I mean, of like sounds and ideas, you know, like, because you can kind of like groove along to it, like, and, you know, like, you know, I'm like kind of like grooving to it, right? You know, I'll sing it in my head, but at the same time, you know, it's just like, I love things that kind of mess with you in that way. Right. So I love it. I'm a really big fan of it.
I feel like that is kind of what she is good at, right?
Yeah, like
she has this very long sense of longing and bittersweet,
right,
you know, element to her.
Yeah.
I will say, just production wise, I didn't love it. Like it's fine. I think maybe I like expected too much or something, but I will say the music video helped a lot. I thought it was so creative.
I love the music video.
Because she's essentially saying, I didn't appreciate you while you were here, and I need time to catch up to your feelings, because she just wasn't on the same page, it sounded like, for this relationship, and now that she's finally on that page, the person's gone. So she's saying, you know, I did everything to push you away, and I want you to come back, because you're essentially too good for me at the time.
Yeah.
So this teddy bear, this giant teddy bear, essentially represents this guy who later turns out to be Onyu, right?
Oh.
From SHINee.
Oh, that is who that was.
It was Onyu, right? He took the head off, and I was like, Onyu.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! I don't know why that completely went over my head, but
I mean, it's not something you would look out for. But like, so the video starts out with
it's 14 ways to lose your teddy bear. Which obviously,
and then she counts down every way, and it was really cute. Like, well, not cute in like a concept way.
I know it's still
sad.
quite terrible.
It's sad.
Like they're like slap,
hug, slap.
Yeah.
Hit with tools, and she would like be beating it with a bat.
Yeah, you know, and granted it's a stuffed animal bear, but you know, ideally these are all
humiliate, dump, and it all culminates in her literally burning the bear with, you know, gasoline and a lighter, and just really kind of representing just how shitty she treated this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And he stuck around this whole time. He was still trying to be her bear, and she just took him for granted, clearly, and emotionally beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then finally at the end, you know, he reveals himself. He kind of looks back at her and walks away. And then the text says, like, you lost. Like,
I love the whole concept. It's so...
I thought just so creative.
I thought, and it, you know, it reminded me, you know, right away I got like that 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, Paul Simon sort of vibe from it. But, you know, it's not exactly what that is. But I thought that was a cool, you know, reference point if that was their idea. Yeah. You know, I don't know what the significance of 14 is, or, you know, why it's a teddy bear or something. Or maybe that's, you know, supposed to represent, you know, more so the boyfriend than anything else. But yeah, I just loved the idea. You know, there were so many like kind of these... It still had and this is why, you know, so this is something that I feel like is very K-pop, and it works in this way because like there's those moments where like she's singing, you know, the lyrics, and like the teddy bear is just like resting against her chair, and you know, like she's upset and, you know, talking about these like serious lyrics, and there's just this huge teddy bear like lying next to her. You know, like it's kind of this like weird juxtaposition of like cute but also serious but also like
a
fun,
little uncomfortable too.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like I loved those scenes in particular because like and you know, she had so many cool looks throughout it all. And
yes, she looks like, I was about to say, just even visually I thought the video had really cool elements. Like, I love the neon sign of her name that really popped.
Yeah, I loved that.
And she had, you know, the pink eyeshadow. So there were, she didn't overdo it. I really thought the glowing pink came out in this video, and it really, it's a good color for her.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And she's always had a really good style. You know, very kind of rock, edgy.
Yeah.
Slightly punk.
Right. No, I think it's great. And you know that there's all these ideas throughout the actual EP, like there's all these, like, you know, the cover is, you know, that she's in the rain. There's all these songs kind of like that sort of like symbolize rain and, you know, stormy weather and things like that. And it's kind of like this progression of like laying it all out, like laying everything out on the line about this relationship that didn't work, and then kind of coming to this realization of like, rain always represents renewal, rebirth, going through something. So this is sort
washing
of
it away.
Yeah, exactly. So she's kind of putting it all out there. I was terrible. I was shitty, all these things.
Yeah.
And then, kind of ideally coming out of it with
like, I wonder
better.
if this is, do you think there's truth to this? Would she ever treat someone like that? I'm sure it's amplified.
Ever? Of course, you make a story better, but I think there were, references to her wanting to be a successful star and things like that. And, I could definitely see, while you're on your come up, and, she definitely isn't, the most obvious, K-pop star, especially being solo. She got a lot of looks from like Unpretty Rap Star, because she was a rapper on that, and I think her hustle was definitely there for a long time, and I think
I can definitely see a relationship just failing out of neglect and not enough time,
exactly.
And I'm sure it wasn't intentional. Nobody would intentionally hope for that.
No, but I think there's definitely something to it, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm so it's interesting, right? And it's like I'm kind of curious, if we get a little more insight on how things work out. But I'm a huge fan of the EP. I think it's really stunning.
I actually have not listened to the rest of the EP.
They did another music video for a song called, I think it's called You, Me, and Rain, or something like that. And
is that, I'm assuming that sounds like it's more of a ballad?
Yeah, it's more, definitely more of a ballad. It's a duet with what's his name, Shin Young something or other. But it's like there's all these elements of rain and washing away, stormy weather, things like that. So
dope.
Shin Young J is who was on that.
Dope.
But I'm definitely, Heize, I'm so glad she's still killing it. Like I said, I think she's an unlikely star, and she's just doing so well. I think what's it called?
She's really consistent.
Yeah, and I think You Don't Know has been doing really well on the charts over there. So congrats to her. Just keep killing it, girl. Like more of this, please.
Is this your favorite release of the week?
Yeah, I think so. I got to give it to her.
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I don't know. If we're talking a package, I don't know. I'm going to go with BTS. Like, I thought that was such an incredible remake. I was listening to it on the train first thing, and it's a little aggressive for, 9 o'clock in the morning, but that shit woke me up.
Good.
So, I think it's incredible.
Aw.
So.
Well, congrats to, and poor Hyori, but maybe the fans will come out and vote for her a ton.
I think it's a personal preference, if anything. So I'm sure there are people who love that release.
Yes, exactly.
It's just good to see Hyori back.
Of course.
I love seeing like old school people come back in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to reinvent themselves in this new era of K-pop.
I know, and it's I saw her give some love to Mamamoo and things like that.
Oh, that's right. As like the people that she's keeping an eye out for.
So it's cool. I'm always a fan of it, and I think K-pop a lot more loyal to their superstars than like we are in America.
Right. And like a lot of them have been coming back lately.
Yeah.
So
they're trying to take advantage of the interest, baby.
yes.
But so let us know, of course, what your favorite release of the week was. You can vote on Views.tv. We have a playlist of all the music we talked about this episode. All the other episodes are posted there. You can hit us up on Twitter. I'm Jeff__Benjamin.
And I'm Hey_Tina with 3 A's.
They use the hashtag KStop. All the different ways you can tell us what you are loving in K-pop or not loving in K-pop. And now let's move into our chart section of the week, where we take a look at the top 5 songs on US iTunes right now. You will soon notice a trend coming up right now, because this must be sort of a lifting effect, because number 5 is Save Me by BTS, coming out of nowhere. Number 4 is Fire by BTS.
Oh.
Number 3, Not Today by BTS. Clearly, people are getting excited about this comeback home song. Number 2, shaking things up a bit, As If It's Your Last by Blackpink. So congrats, girls, for breaking things up. And number 1, should not be a surprise. It's
Uh,
Twice TT. No, it's Come Back Home by BTS. Yes, they are. BTS is taking over.
Killing it.
Spring Day
Here
is charting
for
high.
it.
Dope is charting high.
How is Spring Day not in top 5? I don't understand. I love that song.
It's a little too different. I don't. I think it's a little different than the usual BAP. Oh my God,
Yeah,
BAP, BTS than we're used to. It's not. It's not. It's a little
better.
More, okay, Tina.
It's better. It's more emotional.
It is more emotional.
It's more mature.
I'll say it grew on me as well. That song didn't leave like the biggest impact on me at first, but the more I listen to it, like I now really appreciate it.
Good.
So let us know what's on your guys' charts, and I've seen it live too. I think really changed my opinion too, because after I saw them in concert, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I get it. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
So yes. So now, as we move into our weekly deep cut of the week, where we talk about a trending topic in the K-pop world, community, etc., we thought it'd be kind of cool to bear with me a little bit of talking right now. So Twice just released their first like official Japanese album in Japan right now, and Tina and I definitely watch this sort of progress and deprogress and whatnot, but like K-pop used to be the hugest thing in Japan for a while. It was like really, really big. This like whole resurgence or this whole huge interest happened with people like BoA and 2PM and Girls' Generation and Kara and Big Bang, and it was really huge for a while, and then different things kind of happened. There's some political things, there were some cultural things that kind of basically put it all to a halt or whatever.
Right.
And lots of groups stopped promoting there as often as they did. There were certain restrictions put on Korean groups, things like that.
And the wave died.
And the wave slowly shifted to other places.
Yeah.
I think we started to, after Japan stopped working out as much, we started seeing them go to more China, go more America, go more Latin America, things like that, if they weren't already doing that. But we thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about how Twice, they have sold, like, this album sold like a remarkable amount of copies. Like their album sold like over 100,000 copies in like its first week. I was reading that it sold over 130,000 copies in its first week, not even before the week ended. That like already puts them in like the top 40 album sales like overall of the year, I think. Like that's pretty great first and foremost, and they've done well on the the singles charts as well. BTS also sold like 200,000 copies of the Japanese version of Blood, Sweat and Tears. That went to #1 in Japan too. Like there seems to be, despite all the barriers in place or whatever, there seems to be at least a resurging interest in certain groups, or these leaders at least of groups of K-pop in Japan right now. We thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about where could this go? What could happen next? Why is it happening now versus like why couldn't it happen a couple of years ago? Things like that. And yeah, I thought we'd just get kind of right into it. And I'm
like a little confused about the Twice thing, because I keep reading kind of conflicting accounts of how popular they actually are. I hear people saying that they're not that popular compared to, Girls' Generation, Kara, which is fair because they were huge.
Yeah.
But then I also hear people saying that, like their performances in Japan are always sold out. The pop-up shops are, there's lines wrapped around the block, and, the kids in middle school are like adore them. So I just don't know actually right now how popular like grassroots they really are,
right?
Like at the basic on like at the ground level, I guess, however you put it.
Yeah. And
because like album sales are album sales, but it seems like they really do connect with the Japanese youth. Twice, which to me kind of makes sense.
Well, yeah, and the thing to remember too is that compared to Kara or Girls' Generation or TR or whatever, Twice has is 1/3 Japanese. They
Right,
have three Japanese members.
So it makes sense,
And
technically.
yeah, exactly. So you got to keep that in mind too, because I think those members are definitely recreating or adding to that interest overall. I think JYP artists do pretty well in Japan in general. We know GOT7 does well over there. 2PM is still humongous over there. But yeah, they've done. I think that's one part of it too. But the other thing I would say is that and I was kind of looking at different reports as well, and the songs themselves are doing quite well too, like on streaming services and like digital download services and things like that. I think that's also kind of an indication. Like exactly what you're saying. Like album sales are one thing. Like you can have like a huge fan base, but if the general public doesn't know your songs and stuff like that, what does that ultimately lead to? But it seems like their songs are doing well. Like TT, and Signal, like are top 10 hits in Japan right now. So or went top 10. So I think there is an interest, and a general public interest, because I think also, the people are just getting more and more used to this idea that Twice, is sort of this new girl group or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was reading too that they were on like a Japanese variety show that like a Korean act hadn't been on in years. I remember I saw BTS perform in Japan. You used to hear all the time about K-pop acts performing on Japanese shows or guesting on shows, and that hasn't happened in so long.
It's just so interesting to me because at first I thought, oh, Twice, that makes sense because they're very chanty, perky, and it seems like when it comes to female groups, they like Kara was very like dance chanty and cutesy.
Right.
But then Girls' Generation, they went actually pretty edgy in Japan,
right? They were more edgy in Japan.
Right. Which so then I'm like, I can't even pinpoint really what the Japanese music industry wants from Korean artists.
Right.
So it is really hard. I guess you can't really define how Korean acts, why they're successful there, because like BTS, they're not like I feel like with male acts are probably a little bit different too. But like it's so hard to explain why like both 2PM and BTS are popular there, when 2PM obviously their sound was definitely tailored a bit more Japanese. It's hard to explain. Like when you listen to when they released their original Japanese tracks, 2PM, I was like, oh, this is really J-pop. You know what I mean?
No, there's definitely those different sounds, that you start hearing, and you're like, okay, I get why this works here, and not, I don't know. Like sometimes I feel like it might be a little slicker. Sometimes I don't really know how to explain it, but there is that. I think a lot of K-pop fans would agree. There is that sound, to them or whatever. So yeah, it's like, it's so interesting.
But Twice hasn't released any original Japanese productions. These are all just re-recorded, right?
Right, exactly. So that's interesting too, is that that these are all re-recorded songs. Yeah, the whole EP is just re-recorded in Japanese songs. Okay. So yeah, it's called #Twice. All the singles have been re-recorded in Japanese. I'll be really curious what kind of, because even there's not a lot to exactly see with them yet, but like the album packaging, it's a lot of pink and blues. It's that girly, feminine, very bright stuff that we know from Twice and things like that. But it's I feel like in Korea they're a little quirkier. They always had like that sort of like signal with like the weird hand signals, and like TT was like Halloween themed and all these things like that. Or the first song with all the zombies and stuff like that. Right. But this it seems like they're just going very fresh, colorful, bright, bubbly, which it seems to be working. And yeah, I heard things about the pop-up shops and whatnot and things like that. And it's exciting. I also, at the same time, I think it's very exciting to see this interest, because I think a lot of times it feels like these K-pop groups are going over to Japan for some quick cash, going like, they can hold a concert or two because it's a bigger country, right. more potential fans, things like bigger music industry as well. And, but a lot of times it just feels like a quick cash dump, a quick cash stop, and then they just, come back. And it's exciting to think that maybe there could be some loosening or some changing with the rules when it comes to, if these groups, if there is that demand for it, ideally, people will, or ideally those sort of restrictions will kind of come down. I don't know. I always thought it was really exciting to see, I like you and I talk about this all the time. That Girls' Generation album, that first Japanese album,
amazing.
It's incredible. We loved it. And After School released some really good Japanese material. Like, I can't believe they released I think there are a lot of groups that release like more albums in Japan than like Korea, 4-minute After School.
And like a part of it probably is just due to the fact that things do get played out, and when during that like 2010 through 2012 13 years when everyone was overseas, it makes sense that it kind of was maybe just like too much, and now they're just kind of being more selective. I like Twice, I like BTS, they're huge everywhere.
That's
so it makes it would be weirder for them to not be popular in Japan, right?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a really good point too. The idea, that like, we've talked about this too, how they're kind of the leaders of these new generations. And yeah, it would be a bit odd if like, like, I don't know who, no like shade to anyone, but if like Brave Girls like were selling this amount of albums in Japan and not not Korea,
I think they
are
at least credible artists, right? To them, they're
Twice.
Yes. Well, they're thinking like, they're clearly making
a
marks,
priority,
in obviously in Korea and then in other countries as well. So
yeah, they're the biggest thing right there,
right.
So why would we not follow trend, and things like that? And like it's interesting too, like the groups that do the best in Japan are mostly what is sort of, it's mostly kept in line with with Korea too, like Kara, Girls' Generation, Tiara, A-Pink, 21. They all sold the most in Japan. And then
I can see A-Pink doing really well.
A-Pink, I think A-Pink has been, consistently doing well.
Beast was kind of popular there
yeah,
too,
I feel like Cube just shipped them off all the time to kind of keep them going there. Fun fact, After School is the 6th best-selling K-pop girl group in Japan. AOA next, and then Twice has already outsold Rainbow, who used to be in 8th place. So this is from a forums counting up sales, but yeah, it's interesting. Like I would say, I it's always so hard for me as like a foreigner, as an outsider to kind of get a sense of it, because we know like Big Bang tours like Japan like every year or something, and then I hear about how iKON like tours Japan every year as well, and I'm like, I don't feel these same numbers and these same stats coming out of Japan. Like, so maybe it's just there's that excitement that like the people who love boy bands are going to support iKON, they're going to support Big Bang. YG maybe has a stronger hold in the market, but it seems like at least Twice and BTS are kind of going through that next sort of wall, or like kind of surpassing, what's next, rather than being like a niche sort of thing. It's being more, the people who love K-pop are going to love K-pop, and, they're still there. But it seems like at least the sense that I'm getting is that these groups are doing big things that are almost on the same level as the groups, who were kind of leading this whole Japanese K-pop, J-pop, JK-pop, as I like to call it, wave from back in the day. So it's exciting to see, I think,
Yeah, and also a lot of the acts that were big a few years ago, they're not around anymore.
That's a good point.
So
they're at least taking
can't keep
breaks.
the wave going if they're not around.
Right.
So,
well, that's very true.
That's and the newer ones, well, hey, it doesn't seem trendy anymore. So the newer ones aren't attempting as much. So you just don't have as many artists.
Yeah,
who can attempt this.
Right. And so maybe, exactly. There's not that sort of money guarantee that they used to have in the past. So, it's certainly interesting. I'm certainly going to keep my eye on it to kind of like see what happens, but soon enough, TVXQ will be back. They always did, huge
and like
in
Boa
Japan.
was always huge in Japan. She was bigger in Japan at one point than she was in her home country.
Yeah.
Granted, this was years ago. But
Boa, I think, definitely laid the groundwork for everyone in Japan. Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh. They They better write her a check every year just to say thank you, you know? Like
for the rest of her life.
Seriously, just get some residual checks. But yeah, you know, it just seems like, I thought it was an interesting thing to bring up because, yeah, it seems like rather than it just being the quick tour stop, the quick money stop, it seems like, okay, this is actually something. You know, these groups seem to be invested in it, and I think there seems to be that response, that equal response. You know, it's not K-pop forcing itself on Japan and, you know, kind of taking whatever it can. It seems like there is actually a demand and an interest.
Yeah, and I think there is a difference between just selling records and also leaving like a cultural mark on your audience. And it seems like Twice is well on their way to doing that. So
it's exciting, I think. You know, it's pretty exciting. So
and shout out to the Japanese version of Rookie. Oh, not Rookie. Knock Knock. Sorry.
Looky.
I hate Rookie. I don't know why I just said that.
Hey, Red Velvet's coming back soon.
Oh yeah,
so
I
excited.
saw the fruit.
The fruit.
Yeah, it's very bright.
I love it.
Why did I say Rookie? That was terrible. Knock Knock.
The
Japanese version is dope.
And we just love Knock Knock in general. And they recorded. Did they record TT or Signal, or they released a fresh new music video for like one of the songs too. Maybe it was for Knock Knock. I can't remember. But yeah, so once again, you know, it kind of seems like they're actually putting in that effort and things like that. Despite you can definitely tell what parts were re-recorded and which parts they used from the original track.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's fine. In any case, let us know what you guys think about the, you know, Korean waves, next wave. Resurgent wave. What do they call this? The aftershocks of the of the JK wave.
We clearly don't surf.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell. I talked about someone with that. Someone's like, "Oh, do you surf?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "I'm like scared of the ocean." No, just kidding. But yes, as always, this has been Jeff.
And this is Tina.
And we'll
Thanks
see
for
you next
listening.
week. Bye-bye.
Terrible.